Oh, sorry. Can I ask all of you a question? When was the last time you were truly honest about some of the things you actually think about? When was the last time you shared some of the mischiefs that rattle around in your head? It's probably been a while, hasn't it? Take a moment to recall all those weird thoughts in your head right now. Seriously, give me something absolutely ridiculous that'll blow me away. Do all of you have it? Okay. On the count of three, I want you to yell it out. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Okay. Wow. You're all so quirky. But it's okay. So am I. Personally, I love sharing my thoughts, especially to new people. So join me as I share with you some of my own. First, I think I would look wonderful with a mullet. I think everyone should get one at least once in their lives, because with a mullet, it's all about the experience and not what you look like. Second, I love big noses. My favorite book is The Nose Book, which should be by Dr. Seuss, but it's not, and that upsets me. If you remember anything about me, I hope it's this fact. Lastly, and maybe most importantly, I wish adult clothes were just as adorable as kids' clothes. What if I want to wear a shirt that has a unicorn on it and tells me to dream big? I should be able to wear that. You should be able to wear that if you want. I think we deserve it. Okay, you probably think this is nonsense. And it might be. But I'm being honest about what goes on in the old think tank. And sharing our thoughts is how we get to know each other. It doesn't matter if the thoughts range from, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? Or, gosh, when am I going to get that mullet? It's those thoughts and experiences that shape us. It's honesty that allows us to connect with each other and even lets us get to know ourselves. Sometimes we don't even recognize the life-changing moments when they're happening. We only realize their importance later. For me, that moment occurred in November of 2010. Taylor Swift had just released her album, Speak Now. Kaylin, that reference is for you. I was 6 years old, in first grade, and I was heavily invested in playing Mario Kart on the Wii. I was having the time of my life. On this day, I was leaning against the couch in our living room, and my mom told me that my dad wasn't going to be around as much. I remember the exact way she said that to me. I never looked up at her, and I didn't say a thing. I didn't understand. I couldn't. I was 6. At 6, all I cared about was Mario Kart and wearing shirts with unicorns on them. I didn't understand that my dad being deported would mean 11 years of pain, distress, and emptiness. It was just my new reality. My mom suddenly had to raise my sister and me on her own. She had to go out and find a job, all while not knowing how to speak English. And she had to deal with the fact that her family had just been torn apart. My mom would often take me to work with her out of fear of leaving me home alone. The times I was at home by myself, I would just sit patiently waiting for her to come back. If she wasn't home by 8:30, I'd start to panic. I'd panic because I was afraid that what had happened to my dad happened to her too. No one should have to live with this fear, especially not a kid. People like my mom shouldn't have to fear being separated from their families either. There's comfort in knowing that I am not the only one who has experienced this, but it also breaks my heart. For those of you who have, your story is now shared along with mine. When my dad was gone, my mom became one of my biggest inspirations. I can say so many wonderful things about my mom, but I'd rather say them in a language she'd understand. Hi, Ma. Te quiero decir que tú eres una de las personas más fuertes que yo conozco. Yo sé lo que tú has hecho por nosotros todos los años que mi papá no estuvo aquí. Siempre te voy a agradecer todo eso. Pero también sé todas las cosas que has hecho por ti misma. Como tú dices, has sacado orgullo de donde no la tienes y tienes una fortaleza tan inmensa que te ha sacado adelante. Me has dado todos los ejemplos que necesito para salir adelante y luchar por lo que yo quiero. Te quiero mucho. To translate, I just told my mom that she's awesome. And I am lucky to say that after 11 years, my dad has been back with us ever since December and will now be watching me graduate. I'm sharing this with all of you because what I experienced with my dad taught me a lot about myself. I learned that I was much stronger than I thought and that my compassion extended farther than I knew it could. I learned from my mom that it takes courage to pull yourself up from the ground and keep fighting for what you want. I learned that having people around who can help you are so important to growing and healing. Is it okay if I ask you one more question? What is one experience that changed you? What has made you think differently? What has taught you about who you are and tested your strengths? I know I put a lot of emphasis on what we have all gone through, but we are so much more than that. We are not just those experiences that were harsh on us. We are the things we say to our friends when they're having a bad day. We are those thoughtful actions that sometimes go unnoticed. We are those random thoughts of mullets, big noses, and kids' clothes. But it's when we share who we are with each other and are honest about what we've done that we begin to connect. We begin to build a community. We've all learned so much from each other. We've managed to impact each other's lives in so many ways. And when we leave, we will all still carry pieces of each other with us wherever we end up going. We are never alone because we will always have what we built here together. I want all of you to stand up right now and wave at someone who has supported you throughout your time here. Go on. Stretch those legs and arms. You may sit now if you want to, or keep waving, up to you. It's those people that played a part in who you are at this very moment. We will all continue to grow and change after this is over, but the bonds we've made and the people we've met will always stay. We've created something unforgettable. We will always be connected to each other, and that is truly beautiful. Before I close this out, I want to remind all of you to please get a mullet. Seriously. I don't think I'm asking for too much here. My second reminder, go out and find someone with a big nose and just compliment them. Brighten their day. It can be me, or me, or me, you know. I love compliments. And lastly, I implore all of you, truly, from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of the future mullet that I'm gonna get right after this, to thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, class of 2022. Before I give my welcoming remarks, I'd like to thank a few people for helping me and all of us run a school that I think is incredibly special, starting with Wendy Effing, member of the governing board. Kevin Daly, member of the governing board. Representing the district administration, Dr. Kevin Stolzfus, superintendent. Dr. Kim Parkinson, associate superintendent. Dr. Audrey Reff, assistant superintendent. Stacy Trueblood, chief financial officer. Patricia Gutierrez, director of professional development. Dr. David Baker, former superintendent. Rebecca Hurst, high school assistant principal. Frank Thomas, assistant superintendent. Teresa Gonzalez, assistant superintendent. And I'm Jim Brunenkamp, high school principal. Natalie, you've learned a great deal throughout your 4 years in high school. You learned about limits, derivatives, and integrals in calculus, the difference between a law and a bill in government, how to plie and dance, how to read music in choir and band and orchestra, how to plant and harvest a tomato, how to break down a whole chicken, and how to analyze the rhetorical appeals in English. Although what you learned at Flowing Wells High School might help you in college, all you really need to know, you learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the high school mountain, but there in the sand piles of Douglas, Davis, Laguna, Centennial, Hendricks, Richardson, and Robles elementary schools. These are the things you learned in kindergarten that will help you succeed in life. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat, of course, while singing happy birthday twice. Flush. Warm cookies and milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some and draw and paint some. Sing and dance and play and work every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. When you go out in the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands, and stick together. Be aware of wonder. Remember the little seed in the styrofoam cup? The roots go down and the plant goes up, and nobody really knows why. But aren't we all like that? Goldfish and hamsters and white mice and even little seed in the styrofoam cup, they all disappear. And so eventually will we. And then remember the brown bear books, the first word you learned, the biggest word of all, see. And I see the greatest students ever. Everything you need to know is in there somewhere. The golden rule and love and basic sanitation. Ecology and politics and equality and sane living. Take any one of those items and place it into sophisticated adult terms and apply it to your family, your life, or your work or government or your world, and it holds true and clear and firm. Think what a better world it would be if all of us, the entire world, had cookies and milk at 3 o'clock every day, and then lie down with our blankies for a nap. And it is true, no matter how old you are, when you go out in the world, it is best to hold hands and stick together. Part of me wishes you can go back to kindergarten, back to a time when the world was easier, that you could hold hands, hug each other, and not worry about all that you have to face right now. But that's not how life works. Every generation has to face some catastrophe, a war, a depression, or even a tiny, tiny unseen virus. But every generation perseveres, and from what I've observed, your generation is more resilient than you realized. The world is a better place with you in it. When you were young, time moved so slowly. Summer break took forever. Christmas and Hanukkah never came fast enough. As a freshman, graduation seemed so far away, but yet, here you are. But all life will start to move faster and faster from this point on, so my last wish for you is this. Enjoy the ride while you can, but most important, class of 2022, be happy and always be kind. And then one more thing about me. You know when I'm sad and unhappy, you know what makes me happy? Just a handful of Jelly Bellies. So if you reach far underneath your seat, you will find a bag of Jelly Bellies. Please enjoy.
These are roughly 28,835 jelly beans. I counted out 500 of them and used those to weigh the rest. In this pile, there's one jelly bean for each day that the average American will live. You might have more beans in your life, or maybe less, but on average, this is the time we have. Here's a single bean. It's your very first day. A special day, but kind of a rough day on everyone involved. Add 364 more and you have the first year of your life. Now, for a sense of scale, here are your first 15 years, 5,475 days, which brings us to the threshold of adulthood. And at that moment, this is the time that we have left. And this is, on average, what we will do with all that time. We will be asleep for a total of 8,477 days. If we're lucky, some of that time we'll be sleeping next to someone we love. We will be in the process of eating, drinking, or preparing food for 1,635 days. We'll be at work, hopefully doing something satisfying, for the equivalent of 3,202 of those days. 1,099 days will be spent commuting or traveling from one place to another, maybe a little bit more if you live in LA. On average, we will watch television in one form or another for a total of 2,676 days. Household activities, like chores and tending to our pets and shopping, will take another 1,576 days. And we will care for the needs and well-being of others, our friends and family, for 564 days. We'll spend 671 days bathing, grooming, and doing all other bathroom-related activities. And another 720 days will go to community activities, like religious and civic duties, charities, and taking classes. After we remove all those beans, this is what remains. This is the time that we have left. Time for laughing, swimming, making art, going on hikes, text messages, reading, checking Facebook, playing softball, maybe even teaching yourself how to play the guitar. So what are you going to do with this time? How much of it do you think you've already used up? If you only had half of it, what would you do differently? What about half of that? How much time have you already spent worrying instead of doing something that you love? What if you just had one more day? What are you going to do today?
Class of 2022, families and guests. My name is Julia Esslinger, and I am the 2021 and 2022 Caballero drum major, and we are about to experience the words and wisdom of our keynote speaker, Ellen Kirkbride. We would simply not be here today without the commitment and dedication of the teachers and staff in the Flowing Wells District. And we all can look back and think of one or two extra special teachers who have made real differences in our lives. I'm honored to be able to introduce one such incredible teacher tonight. Ellen Kirkbride is a Flowing Wells graduate of the class of 1980. After high school, she had a successful modeling career with the Grissom Modeling Agency. She then went on to the University of Arizona to earn a bachelor's in music education, graduating in 1990, and returned to earn her master's degree in music education, graduating in 1999. In college, Mrs. Kirkbride studied an array of instruments, but her main instrument and favorite instrument will always be the clarinet. She is currently in her 32nd year of teaching. She started her teaching career at Centennial Elementary as their first general music educator, while also assisting Mr. Gaston, who was the Flowing Wells High School band teacher at the time. Although Mrs. Kirkbride wanted to stay in the district, an opportunity to become the head music director at Mountain View High School opened up. She took the job and continued furthering her career in music education for 12 years. Thankfully, Mrs. Kirkbride came back to Flowing Wells and is now in her 20th year working for our district. Not only is she the head of the Fine Arts Department, but she is also the AP coordinator of Flowing Wells. And in 2017, she was inducted into the Flowing Wells High School Alumni Hall of Fame. Now I can tell you all these extraordinary facts about what Mrs. Kirkbride has accomplished, but you don't truly get to know her until you've seen her teach and impact the lives of her students. I should know, for I am only one such student. Another such student was a 5th grader when Mrs. Kirkbride taught her first class at Centennial Elementary, and he again was her student throughout high school. That student is my father, Randy. My father always spoke warmly of Mrs. Kirkbride, and to this day has never said a negative thing about her. When I was getting ready to begin my high school career, I heard all these stories about how awesome she is, and I would roll my eyes. And then I met her myself. And here's what I've learned. Mrs. Kirkbride is more than just a teacher. She is reliable, funny, a hard worker, and sometimes my therapist. She teaches 4 completely different classes and runs a marching band of 163 completely different personalities. She teaches her students how to sight read music and how to hold their instruments properly. She runs a summer band camp and spends a whole week teaching kids how to march and follow commands. She fills in for the school musical when there is not enough instrumentation. She creates a space that feels more like a home than a classroom. She gives incredible advice, like I'm the boss applesauce. She accepts each and every one of her students and allows them to be who they truly are. She does not judge, and she genuinely cares about the well-being of her students. She is vibrant and connects students to the wonderful world of music. She is inspiring and puts her peers and students before herself. If I haven't accurately described her to you yet, Mrs. Kirkbride is more than just a teacher. She's an extraordinary human being. There are now generations, and I am proof, of people who love and appreciate the beauty of music because of her influence. Please welcome tonight's keynote speaker, Mrs. Ellen Kirkbride, class of 1980.
Thank you, Julia. I did not pay her for that. Well, first, I'd just like to thank the high school administration, the school board, the governing board, of course, I just said that, the high school administration, the district administration, and everybody that's here that kind of got me in this place. And I'm kind of a little bit verklempt because I got the chance to come back to Flowing Wells. And this isn't in my speech, but just so you know, that changed my life. It changed my life. It kept me a music educator, and I am so grateful to the people that made that happen. So thank you very much. But now I'm going to talk to the graduates. Hey, graduates, class of 2022, what? Well, when you're in high school, there are things you want to remember and some things you want to forget. You'll remember the friends, the events that were important to you, like games, trips, pep assemblies, proms, dances. And you might want to forget those difficult or stressful events like COVID, remote learning, COVID, Zoom classes, COVID. And we want to forget those. But what I find is when you get older, and as old as I am, this is what you find out. Lots of those memories, both the good and the bad, fade away. You are left with a sense of having been there, some sense of how things were, but the day-to-day nuances, they're all gone. So what does this mean? Graduates, your new life begins this week, after graduation on Wednesday. So what's going to be your thing, your life, your contribution? You know, that thing or things that get you going every day. You aren't going to have teachers, parents, and friends necessarily encouraging you in the same way, and the situation is going to be different even from this week. That may sound sad and depressing, but now it's truly up to you. Ooh, scary. A little scary, right? But it's not so much. When I went to school here, I spent many, many days and evenings in this very hall. I remember a few key moments, like when the former governor of California, Ronald Reagan, was on this exact stage giving a speech about our school and an award that we had won. I sat right there, first clarinet, with the Governor Reagan up here. And I thought, man, that guy's old, is kind of what I remember. And then someone told me, you know, he's going to run for president. And I said, nah, not going to happen. Well, guess what? It did. And but I also remember more the sense of being here. And some of those were those meaningful phrases. Mr. Brunenkamp just brought up the ones that you learned in kindergarten. Well, these are some that I learned in high school. These are the words of wisdom, the truths that teachers and parents say to you. And oftentimes you think that they're really ridiculous, but you remember them. And, you know, Julia just told you about, you know, I'm the boss, you're the... Thank you. But I learned one from a kind of a curmudgeon-y teacher named Mr. Yule, and he taught English. And he was my English teacher, and my sister's probably as well. And we spent most of our time in class trying to get him off topic. You know what I mean? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Do you know those teachers that you can get off topic? And you're hoping they never get to the homework part, right? See, I'm sorry teachers, they've all just told you who you are. But Mr. Yule was our teacher that we tried to keep him talking. But often once he would tell us what we had to do or what was going to happen, and we would complain that it wasn't fair, he'd say, life isn't fair. And we thought that was kind of mean, but he kept saying it, life isn't fair. Well, that couldn't have been more true in the last 2 years, right? The pandemic has shown us that we can't control everything, and it caused a lot of anxiety. It caused a lot of you anxiety. But like everything else, this too shall pass, or we'll learn to live with it. Life isn't fair can be about crazy world events, wars, pandemics, or they can be something simple, like waiting in the line at McDonald's only to find out that they're out of coffee. And I like that $1 coffee in the morning. I want that $1 coffee. It's a bummer, and it's not fair, but it's not tragic. How you handle these moments matter. Most of the things that seem impossible to get over are only temporary. They're temporary over a lifespan. They will pass. These problems are temporary. The next thing that I remember hearing that have always followed me in my life came from my mother Jo. And my mom had some real doozies of words of wisdom, but the one that I remember, and I'm sure my sisters also remember, when we were complaining about something, she would say, well, there are a lot of things in your life that you're going to have to do that you're not going to like, but you have to do them anyway. And I thought, wow, that's so mean, Mom. I don't want to do it. I shouldn't have to. But then what other words kind of ring in your head? Life isn't fair. There are a lot of things you're going to have to do that you're not going to like, but you're going to have to do them anyway. So my advice is always do your best with a good attitude. Why make yourself miserable? A positive attitude goes a long way. So what does this have to do with your life right now? You are all so beautiful and smart and full of potential. How are you going to deal with these unfairnesses of life, these mundane annoyances of day-to-day life? Class of 2022, I challenge you to solve them. It is up to you and your generation of adults to make the world a better place, a safer place. You know about the world's inequities and injustices. You are certainly smarter and more capable than I was in 1980. Y'all have already changed so much. Now, get out there and get to work. No one is going to do it for you, and it's your turn. I want to add a few of my own words of wisdom, Kirkbride words, KB-isms. My senior students, Kevin, Zoe, Julia, Ethan, Harley-Head, Ryan, Isaac, Josiah, Wendy, Eduardo, Aitana, Serenity, Genevieve, Anthony, Rachel, Ivan, Sammy, David, Javi, and Armando, already know some of them, like Boston applesauce. One of the things, the truths that I think about, and I just want you to think about, are that people want to be around people they like. It's human nature. People hang out with people they like. People love people they like, and so on. And as a professional, I can tell you that people hire people they like. People promote people they like. People go into business with people they like. You get it? Right? It's fine to be yourself. It's fantastic, and I want you to be that person. But think about the bigger picture sometimes and how you will be successful. Be pleasant, personable, and polite. The 3 Ps. It goes a long way. But lastly, my message is about love. Love is the answer. I truly believe that love is the answer. Now, I didn't come up with that myself. The great Todd Rundgren from the 70s, great musician, songwriter, wrote a song called Love is the Answer. And because I'm a music teacher and I love music, which means I love humans and I love the human condition, we can't leave without making a little bit of music. Now, the choir was amazing. That was real music, but this is going to be our music. So, do you guys remember elementary school when you would echo sing? Remember? Oh, you're going to remember now. Okay, so this is your part. Okay, ready? This is your part. Love one another, ooh. Love one another, ooh. That's it. Sing it. Love one another, ooh. Love one another. And stop. You got to watch me. Guys, I'm the conductor, which means I'm the boss and you're the applesauce, right? So you got to watch or it won't work, right? And don't go faster. Don't go faster. Now, I'm going to sing a part. When I point to myself, you're going to sing that as the answer. You got it? Okay. Ooh, love is the answer. Got it? Ready? Here we go. I'm going to start you guys. 1, 2, you go. Love one another. Love. When you feel afraid. When you've lost your way, love one another. When you're far from home, love one another. When you're on your own, love one another. When you're down and out, love one another. When your hopes run out, love one another. When you need a friend, love one another. 22. Good luck. Wear your seatbelt, and I'll see you at graduation.
Everything custom like I'm at the bottom. Yeah. If you with it, would you light us to the sky? How could it all make sense when I got millions on my mind? Coming with it, I just put it to the side. Bought a sense of baby, they could see it in my eyes. My mama called, see you on TV. Sunset done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations. Worked so hard, forgot how to vacation. They ain't never had the dedication. People hating, say we changing, look, we made it. Yeah, we made it. I was patient. Yeah, I was patient.
Dress up like hipsters and make fun of our exes. It feels like a perfect night for breakfast at midnight to fall in love with strangers. Yeah, we're happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. It's miserable and magical. Oh yeah, tonight's the night when we forget about the deadlines. It's time. Uh-oh, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Everything will be alright if you keep me next to you. You don't know about me, but I'll bet you want to. Everything will be alright if we just keep dancing like we're 22. It seems like one of those nights. This place is too crowded, too many cool kids. It seems like one of those nights we ditch the whole scene and end up dreaming instead of sleeping. Yeah, we're happy, free, confused, and lonely in the best way. It's miserable and magical. Oh yeah, tonight's the night when we forget about the heartbreaks. It's time. Uh-oh, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. Everything will be alright if you keep me next to you. You don't know about me, but I'll bet you want to. Everything will be alright. We just keep dancing like we're 22.
My mama called, see you on TV. Sunset done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Always say congratulations. Worked so hard, forgot how to vacation. They ain't never had the dedication. People hating, say we changing, look, we made it. Yeah, we made it. They was never friendly, yeah. Now I'm jumping out of Bentley, yeah. And I know I sound dramatic, yeah. But I know I had to have it, yeah. For the money, I'm a savage, yeah. I be itching like I had it, yeah. I'm surrounded 20 bags, yeah. But they didn't know me last year, yeah. Everyone wanna act like they important, but all that mean nothing when I shut my door, yeah. Everyone counting on me, drop the ball, yeah. Everything custom like I'm at the bottom, yeah, yeah. If you win it, would you light us to the sky? How could all make sense when I got millions on my mind? Coming with it, I just put it to the side. Bought a sense of baby, they could see it in my eyes. My mama called, see you on TV. Sunset done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I won't be nothing. Now they always say congratulations. Worked so hard, forgot how to vacation. They ain't never had the dedication. People hating, say we changing, look, we made it. Yeah, we made it. I was patient. Yeah, I was patient.
Hope when you take that jump, you don't feel the fall. Hope when the water rises, you build a wall. Hope when the crowd screams out, you're screaming your name. Hope if everybody runs, you choose to stay. Hope that you fall in love and it hurts so bad. Hey, the only way you can know, you give it all you have. And I hope that you don't suffer, but take the pain. Hope when the moment comes, you'll say, where I live. Hope that you spend your days, but they all add up. And when that sun goes down, hope you raise your cup. Oh, I wish that I could witness all your joy and all your pain, but until my moment comes, I'll say I did it all. I did it all. I owned every second that this world could give. I saw so many places, the things that I did, and with every broken bone, I swear I
Infinitesimal. A word that looks as though it should mean extremely large, but is actually defined as extremely small. Similarly, our own lives are ones that we see as extremely large, but in the grand scheme of things, we are extremely small. For instance, there is you. And you are in this one city, in this one state, in this one country, on this one planet, in this one solar system, and in this one galaxy. And yet, in these small existences, there is beauty. To our parents, we were the extremely small babies they held when we were brought into this world. Such small humans that would hold so much potential. Our parents could not have fathomed who we had become. In the blink of an eye, we grew up in front of them. There is so much impatience in growing up. With each moment blurring by faster and faster, there is so much meaning life can hold in a single second. In 1 second, we had our first breath. In 1 second, we spoke our first word. In 1 second, we walked our first steps. In 1 second, we had our first success. In 1 second, we said our first curse word. In 1 second, we held hands with someone for the first time. In 1 second, we were freshmen, and in 1 second, we are here today. Although we have our own guardians and people who primarily raised us, it is commonly said that it takes a village to raise just one child. But this year, we will see the hard work of our community send off 281 graduates. We are most fortunate to have this community. We are fortunate to have our amazing school. We are most fortunate to have this district and the teachers and staff who helped us. Teachers, counselors, and staff may have us for only the school day. They may only have us for a certain amount of years in our lives, but we will always remember their impact on us. We will remember the good moments, the ones that left us inspired. We will remember the bad moments that exposed how we react to negatives in our lives. We will remember the boring moments and what we did to get through those lectures. We will remember the fun and the moments that made us smile. Our high school principal, Mr. Burningcamp, has mentioned many times now that on this campus, there is so much we've accomplished when no one was looking. No one sees the hours spent in rehearsal when every member of the performing classes put in their best efforts to ensure that the performance the audience sees is a reflection of those efforts. No one sees each stitch that goes into a model's outfit, just the brilliance of the finished product. No one sees the patience of the photographer who sits outside just waiting for the perfect shot. No one sees the hard work and dedication that comes from athletes as they practice day after day to show their abilities at the next game, meet, or match. Oftentimes, most beauty comes in the events no one sees. You pay little to no attention to the sun throughout the day, but when it finally gets to the horizon to create that beautiful sunset, you are in awe. You don't sit and watch the paint dry of an artist's work, but rather admire their creation when it is complete. Spiders weave their glistening webs, but you do not sit and watch any of the calculatory actions they take to spin their silk into the precise picture. In a way, these spiders are like us. They spin their webs in preparation for the future. Sure, their future is in bug catching, but for us, we spin our webs daily. Each new day is another string of knowledge we learn. Each new connection we make is another thread that strings us together and is weaved into the fabric of our being. We are an amalgamation of every small event in our lives. We are scribbles in the margins of an atlas on a shelf, in a vast library brimmed with even more books and even more scribbles. We have such small lives, but this does not discredit any moment we have. For instance, if you would allow me a moment to say, I'll never know you, but thank you to whoever you may be, who wrote those little notes in my AP chemistry textbook. As stated before, things happen when no one looks, and similarly, the smallest joys can be found in the simple words written in the margins of this huge book. Simple words. They wrote, "You'll be okay," and just keep swimming. Such sweet notes, written in the cutest of cursive, to leave behind for someone you'll never know. That's what we do when we leave our marks in high school. We leave such small legacies for students who will learn after us. We leave them memories. The underclassmen we've met and shared experiences with will remember so much. I remember stories about the seniors of my freshman year. I remember the help they provided when I was lost. I remember the teasing that I sometimes miss. Now we will leave these same memories to the kids we will leave behind. We leave them the memory of an older kid helping or providing joy for them as well. So many memories that passed by. Some of us may worry about the impact we left here in these years that we've developed who we are. Are you proud of who you have become? You have an extensive amount of time to not only answer this question, but to change it as well. We have the power to change our lives. Cassius says it best in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Men at some time are masters of their fates. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Act 1, Scene 2, line 140. The joy in our world being so small, so infinitesimal, is that we have so much power to change it. Humans are beings of change, and it's up to us to shape this world. It's our lives now. It's up to us to continue the spinning of our tale. We can sew new seams into history. We can print our own novels of existence. Our world is pure imagination.
No life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
I'm a little sad, but it's finally coming to an end, our story, which leads me to ask, why do you come to school? I'm sure our teachers would say to absorb the plethora of knowledge they have to offer, such as Mr. Mann, who'd assign 20-page packets to freshmen and yet still give us a lecture wrapped up in a story. If you played sports, I'm sure your coach would say you're here to train until you can't tell the difference between your tears and your sweat and become the best athlete at an Olympic level. Like how coaches are always yelling. I can't possibly imagine them in a calm voice. The fine arts teachers would say you're here to let your inner artist thrive. Sing till you summon birds and paint like you're the next Picasso, such as Mr. Pancratz. How Mr. Pancratz never lets there be a dull moment in class. You're either working on your scenes or painting and building the set. Me personally, I come to Flowing Wells to watch a show. It's unlike any other I've ever seen. It's the ultimate reality show mixed in with a sitcom to produce the drama of our time. High school is like a telenovela. I mean, Mr. Burneycamp, how many of you've seen how many times now? 30 years worth of telenovelas? Where else can you find drama, romance, adventure, and comedy, all in one place? Our show has a teaspoon of 13 Reasons Why, some Riverdale mixed in with Pretty Little Liars, a dash of Teen Wolf and Gilmore Girls, topped off with the best drama of them all, The Office. One might be wondering how Flowing Wells is like any other teen drama. Well, it usually starts off with drama. Gossipers, swooping in like vultures, diving down to a carcass, hunting for the next thing to talk about, the next victim. Gossipers, aka teenage girls, are some of the most terrifying creatures I have ever met.
Dude, so the principal came in and was talking about water beds.
Oh, no way. I heard he interrupted finals, too.
And water beds? What is even in a water bed? Is it a water or a bed? Just pick one.
It can't be both at once. Hey, what'd you get on the test?
1.
0.5%. Maybe if you didn't interrupt us.
Right?
Or we can't forget about the good old classical disagreement.
I can't believe you told people I wasn't vegan! I thought you were a vegetarian! Well, I thought you were a better friend! It's not my fault! I can't tell the difference! I'll show you the difference! That was not vegan of you!
Dang, I was hooked. Now I have to go to the gossipers and pay with a piece of my dignity to figure out what happened. While drama is exciting to watch, there's no drama caused by like the one caused by love triangles.
That's what I said. That's no airplane. That's my mother.
when? Since last week. What do you mean last week?
You stop her. Boys! I love you both, okay?
Get over here. 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 Should I go for right here?
Ah, young love, or teenagers' idea of being in love. But we all know it's destined to fail.
Hey, Sugar Plum, how's it going?
About that, I've been thinking and we need to break up.
Slow down, what do you mean by that?
Well, I just met this other guy who's a lot better than you, and I'm sorry.
But, Snuggle Pups, you haven't seen my snail collection yet. I have an Alaskan beef trotter snail.
Snail collection? Right.
Snails are cool, though.
Yes, high school breakups are hard, but they sure are fun to watch. Just like other reenactments, please be advised we have to announce the legal disclaimer. All characters in this event and show, even though it's based on real people, are entirely fictional. No students were physically harmed in the making of this presentation. Please do not attempt to recreate, retell, restate, or acknowledge any of the events in real life. Please and thank you. Even though we are like every teen drama, we have created little gems that make us unique. Flowing Wells is an oyster in a sea of life, making those rare pearls. We have pearls of wisdom, of family, and most importantly, community. Where else can you be transported into a whole new world during pep assemblies? We have some of the best staff in the world. No, but seriously, they're amazing. Doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, you can ask any staff around campus for help and they'll happily help you. I'd like to give my special thanks to Mr. Pankratz and Mr. Cruz, who bring performances into life and who bring plays to life and turn performances into magic. To the social studies department, whose comforting help is like that of a parent who's always there for you. To the counseling department, who will fight tooth and nail so that you can get into college with as many scholarships as possible. As well as the security department, who keeps us safe, but most importantly, will give you a ride across campus for free. Special thanks to Jay for helping out more times than I can count. And if that wasn't enough thank yous, I can't leave out the custodial staff for cleaning up mess after mess. You all really do make Flowing Wells shine. The beauty of a telenovela is that it can be rewritten and revised, always changing like the times we live in, and that is your power. We are the authors of our own stories. Yes, Flowing Wells is like any typical high school from the outside, just like a telenovela looks like any drama series. But when you get a chance to be on the inside, you see it's so unique. It continues to unfold and hold so many heartwarming surprises, just like when I would sit for hours and watch telenovelas when I was younger. There's always a surprise if you take the time to enjoy it. You, me, all of us. We can't help where we came from, but we can change where we'll go. Flowing Wells gave us our start. Now how will you write your own story?